All right, guys, welcome back to the NLF Coaching Podcast. Today we are joined by the man, myth, legend, Dawain Atkinson.
What up? What up?
We've obviously known you quite a while. You wear a lot of different hats in the fitness industry, but tell our viewers a little bit about what you do and give yourself a little introduction.
Yeah, man. So my name is Dawain Atkinson, born and raised in a big city called Turkey, North Carolina. A lot of people are not familiar with it. That's why I always introduce myself like that. But I am the communications director for E2M Fitness and also a personal trainer and I guess trainer on video for E2M Premium.
Hey, I love it. So yeah, Dawain, obviously you competed, was it last year now?
Or yes. So I debuted March of 24, and then I did another show in Fayetteville, November of 25. So yeah, I've competed twice in the OCB, and yeah, I guess we'll get into all those little details.
Absolutely, yeah. So, obviously I'm an E2M coach alongside Dawain now as well. So we're going to get into a little bit of like E2M, how you got into that, and what you guys focus on over there. Dawain, obviously having followed you for a while, been friends with you for a while, your transformation is incredible. So let's just go over, what was the catalyst? Do you say, I've got to change, I've got to prioritize my fitness? When did that happen? And then how did that evolve into getting onto the bodybuilding stage?
Absolutely, man. So, I was the avid, athlete, in high school, and, you get married and you gain weight. And then I went through where I was like, lifting weights, just diet was terrible, just thinking I could outwork a bad diet, of course. But in 2020, pandemic time, my dad went into the hospital. He was diabetic already, and they had to remove part of his foot. And that's my Superman, man. Like, my dad, I've seen him do miraculous things, he's always the man's man, strong. And so to see him go through that hit me, man. Like, some parts in your life, you're like, man, it's like a staple. Like this was a part in my life where it's like, I don't want to be like that. Like, I don't want to go through that. And so in 2020, I got serious about trying to lose weight and, trying to get back in shape because I didn't want that same outcome for myself. And I was 38 at the time. And my whole mantra was, I want to be fit by 40. And so fast forward, my barber during COVID, don't go to the barber much. So, I went to the barber and he was looking super ripped. I was like, bro, what are you doing? And he pulled out his phone. He was like, man, E2M Fitness, man, you need to sign up. I immediately came home, told my wife about it. And we signed up in March of 2021. And my first 8 weeks, I lost 48 pounds. I mean, just dramatic life-changing thing. And like, it's been up ever since then, man. But the thing that just changed everything, my why became I didn't want to go through what my dad went through, and I wanted to be healthy at 40. And I'll add on to that. I remember growing up, my parents turned 40. They had these over the hill parties. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but they used to have over the hill parties where people bring like crutches and stuff. And that's 40. And I was like, bro, like there's no way 40 is like that terrible. And so that was the real big thing for me, is like getting fit by 40, lost that weight, connected with E2M, fast forward, man, got on the team. And like I said, now I'm an amateur competitor currently.
That's amazing, Dawain. Yeah. And I mean, I knew that story actually about how you were a product of E2M before you actually even became a coach, but I'd kind of forgotten about it. So I love to see that you did the program, you saw the benefits of the program, and now you get to share that program with, the thousands of people that are involved in the program. So while we're on the topic, what exactly is E2M and who do they target? How does it work? Just run us through like what your role as an E2M coach and everything you do is.
Absolutely. So, I always say I'm a client first, and that's kind of that's how I built my rapport with a lot of our clients, is because I was a client first. But E2M stands for Eager to Motivate. Jeff Jeffrey Witherspoon, also known as Jeff Spoon, in college came up with this this business plan where, you know, you get one person to sign up and they bring their friends and they got access or whatever. So he created this 8-week program that pretty much blew up in 2020 because the gyms were closed. Nobody could get the gyms. It was Facebook based. And so originally our audience, or who we were attracting, were people that were looking for, you know, rapid transformation. Over the years, gym opened back up, GLP-1s, all those things came out. And so weight loss wasn't a big thing, you know, as far as like doing the hard work to get it. And so being a genius that he is, he started E2M Premium, which is our, we're actually still developing it, but it's kind of our strength training program. And the timing was perfect for that. You know, we now have an app, but E2M Premium, you can find it on your Apple, Google, look it up right now. But E2M Premium is strength training, and it's trainer led. Will's one of the coaches. I'm one of the coaches. Nate even makes some made a guest appearance on there. So, but pretty much it's strength training, timer and attention, 15 minutes. We got programs inside of it. And so my role, although I'm the communications director, probably a more appropriate role would be like assistant operations, because I have my hand in marketing, I have my hand in programming, I have my hand in, you know, a lot of stuff like direct connect with Jeff and the COO Adrian. And so really my role is I'm a make it happen guy. Like that's been me all my life. If you were trying to do something, let's make it happen. Like I don't have excuses. I just go get it. And so that's what E2M is. If you're interested, definitely go to e2mpremium.com. Check us out. But that's my role in the company.
That's awesome. You're heavily involved in content creation in general, and you've been doing that for quite a few years, even before you got involved with E2M, correct?
Yeah, man. So I always say I was doing POV videos before it was cool. Like I get those Facebook memories, and it's like 2016, me walking around talking to my phone. Like I was doing that back then. I don't know why, I don't know where. I didn't go to school for it. I've been, you know, into content and producing it. I remember when the word content started becoming popular. Like I had a podcast I started in 2012 when you can only get it on iTunes. And I built a podcast network all while working a full-time job. And so, you know, just that part is so natural to me, and just understanding trends and understanding like how to produce content, understanding audience and how to speak to certain audiences. It's just been I just say it's a God-given gift, man. It's something that I don't put a lot of effort in. I soak it up really fast. And again, no official training, no marketing school, no graphic design, none of that, man. Just really find an interest in those things, and just I'm not afraid to try. That's me. I'm not afraid to try because I'm not afraid to fail. And that's I've been in that game for a minute, man. And that what you see now is way more polished than what I used to do back in the day. But I wasn't afraid to do that back in the day. So, and that's why it comes out so much better now.
Yeah, I think there's so much value in that, in everything, right? Is like just take action.
Yes.
You know, it's probably not going to be perfect right out the gate, but at least you're moving and you're putting it out there, and then you're learning, you know, what gets traction, what doesn't get traction, what do I need to change, how do I market, and all of those things. So many people focus on being perfect and never actually taking action.
Yeah, man.
Action wins. You know, action always wins. Make a decision, go after it, and then learn. Dawain, like looking at a lot of your content now, I noticed that you're really kind of targeting guys in their 40s or even above, right? Because I know you're 44 years old. So with that being said, what do you think men in their 40s need to focus on? And then how has your training changed over the years? Because I've noticed even at 34, my body doesn't recover like it used to. I've got more responsibility than I used to have, and I've had to make adjustments to my own training. And I'm not even 40 yet. So I'm very aware that the changes are going to come again. So from your experience, to any men that are listening that are over the age of 40 or approaching that milestone, what should they be focused on?
Yeah, man. You know, the biggest thing that I learned on this journey, you know, hitting 40, because you got to think about it. Like my 30s, I was unhealthy, so the biggest thing I learned is the recovery piece. You're not 22 anymore. You need to stretch, you need the mobility aspect, you need to rest. If you're a former athlete, you have this, push through, grind through. No, when you get your 40s, man, if something hurt, stop. That's number one right there. If it hurts, stop. Don't. There's no grind through, push through. We're not trying to make the team or nothing. Stop. Figure out, assess your body. Make sure it's not a injury versus soreness. If it's soreness, we can work with that. But if it hurts, stop, man. And that's because I take on a few personal clients myself, man. And that's one thing that I'm teaching the guys is like, bro, you're not trying to make the starting lineup. If your shoulder hurt when you do that, let's find another exercise where it don't hurt. So my biggest advice to 40-year-old, if it hurt, stop. If you're sore, come back. Okay, don't sit home just because you're sore.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I love that analogy. You're not going for the starting team, because I think when a lot of, the most common ways, dads or men in their 40s get injured is they haven't done any running for years, and then they decide to go and do a sprint. They're racing someone for fun, and then boom, their hamstring goes. Or they go to play a basketball game that they haven't done in forever, and it's an Achilles injury, or their knee goes. And it's like, guys, you haven't trained. You're not in college anymore. Your body has changed. You don't bounce back like you used to. You're not as pliable as you once were. And that isn't like offensive to say that. It's reality. And I think so many men in their 40s think, well, I'm still that guy. They're driven ego. I can still be that guy, right? And it's maybe
it's mental, man.
Why, right? And I think it all comes down to your why. We talk about this with E2M all the time. When you're not motivated, remember your why. What are you doing it for? So, Dawain, what is your why, beyond just being healthy at this point? What is your why for exercising when you don't feel like it, sticking to your diet when you don't feel like it? What keeps driving you forward?
Yeah, man, the my future self, when I hit 40, I realized how young 40 actually is. 40 is not old.
Amen, bro.
It's not, man. It's not, because my parents, they're now in their their late 70s, and that's my why, man. I want, when I'm in everybody knows, and you guys can attest to this. Of an Instagram person you follow that's really old but it's in shape, and they got like this. They're everybody's goal. It's a lady, it's a man, or whatever. I want to be that person. I want to be in my 70s, in my 80s, and I want people to have memes of me. I'm the healthy one. Like, if you chose this lifestyle, this is what you look like. If you chose this lifestyle, this is what you look like. That's my why, man. Just being an example, and being healthy in the latter years, because right now it's cool. I mean, it looks good. I can put on a black shirt, no design on it, feel good, look good. But when I'm 70, 80, I want to still have that same confidence. I want to be that guy in the gym that the influencer come up and say, hey, man, how long you been working out? I want to be that guy, man. So, it might be a little vain, but that's my why. Oh, we got some lag. Maybe.
Good. You hear us all right?
Y'all got me?
Yeah. So one thing I want to dive into, that you mentioned in the first initial 8 weeks with E2M that you lost, was you said 48 pounds?
Yeah.
That's incredible. So I think a lot of times when people get into like a weight loss journey, they see like maybe an initial change like that where they drop a bunch of weight, but then habits kind of slip and they go back in the other direction. So what was the catalyst to get you from that point and build from there? Like, what did you do to maintain and build off of that and not just go backwards like a lot of people do?
Yeah, man. So for me, especially the first time it was fear. I was scared that if I ate a cheeseburger on the wrong day, I'll wake up like Nutty Professor. How he blew up all of I just be honest. That's what it was. It was fear at first. And then I realized, okay, there's a balance to this. Like, I don't have to eat this strict list all the time. But and really, to be honest, just on the mental side, I think it's more or less of seeing the big picture. We all have, whatever the goal is, having a big picture of, this, I don't want to go back to the guy I used to be. I was a big guy, but I mean, and it's funny because I've done interviews like this before, and it was like, did this help your confidence? Whatever. No, I've always been confident, always, even as a big guy. But what this did is, I remember having to hold my breath to tie my shoe. I remember, going up steps and being winded. And so the fear of, like I said, the fear of going back to that, and just, for me, it's always about going forward. And so once I lost the weight, it was like, I hit up Jeff. I was like, bro, I lost the weight. I want to start building muscle. He's like, okay, start going to the gym. Started going to the gym. And then I was like, people giving me compliments at the gym. Man, you should compete. Okay, I'm gonna try to compete. So it's always about moving forward, man. And that's just having something to work towards is always a great initiative to keep going and not necessarily go back.
Yeah, 100%. And I just circling back to something you said earlier of like, I want to be the 70-year-old, the 8-year-old that's in killer shape. And that's also something that I think about a lot. I want to be that guy. I'm working towards being that guy, God willing that we make it to that point, right? And then when we make it to that point that we are those people, first and foremost, that work starts now.
Yes.
It's everything you're doing is planting the seeds for those future years. But, so many people, they say, well, I'm not capable of being that person, right? Well, why not? Why can't you be? The only thing that's stopping you is what's going on in here. It's the excuses that you're justifying.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can become that person if they want to, right? It's like, we know that we can't all be professional athletes, right? Like that ship has sailed. Maybe we don't have the genetic potential to be LeBron James or whoever it is, but everybody has the ability to get in the best shape that they can, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're having conversations with people that are older, that kind of have that, pessimistic mindset, or they don't believe it, how do you help them overcome that? What do you say to them?
Man, so this one of my favorite statements is be where your feet are. You can't go back, you can't undo. You got to be right where you are. If that means great example is my dad. I always challenge him to get up without somebody helping him up. And so that's where his feet are right now, is getting up without assistance out of the chair, getting that leg strength. Those are squats, getting up out of the chair. Same thing with mom, like using your legs, building your legs. So you can't, like I said, you can't go back and you can't fast forward. You're right here where you are. What can you do today? Not yesterday, not tomorrow. What can you do today? Can you take a walk? Take a walk. Can you, do a little movement around the house? Reach up the head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Whatever it is, you start right where you are. One of my favorite commercials is the old guy in the shed lifting up the kettlebell, and that thing, I almost cry every time.
Christmas commercial, right?
Yeah. Where he lift the kettlebell, and every day he did the same thing. He did the same thing every day until he was able to achieve his goal, which is lift his granddaughter up. So when he first started, it was a struggle. He barely can get it off the ground. Be where your feet are. Show up every day. Do what you can where you are at that moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Something I want to dive into a little bit more, and you touched on it briefly earlier, but your experience with bodybuilding. So I know you've been competing for 2 years now. So what was the motivation to get into that? Obviously, we all kind of start somewhere, and I think for you, it's probably originating from your weight loss journey. But what was the motivation to kind of get into competing and put yourself out there in that sport and try something new?
Yeah, no, at first it was bucket list. It was, I lost this weight. People say I got a, pretty nice frame. Let's give this a try, and I always told people I was one and done. I was bragging, one and done. I'm, call me Zion Williams. I'm out. But that was the original motivation to answer the question. Just to prove that I could do it, man. Can I lock in for 20 weeks? Can I be, I did it for 8 weeks. Can I do it for 20 weeks? Can I mean, because I'm a rule follower guy, man. Whatever you tell me, I'm doing. I always joke. I said, if Eric would have told me to eat some cardboard, I've been eating cardboard, like whatever, man. That's who I am. And so I was like, can I apply these things about me to bodybuilding, and can there be some success to that, man. And so that's what got me in, just kind of, and it's funny, man, because it's always about who you surround yourself with, because I didn't know anything about it until, well, I mean, just what you see on TV sparingly. And then when we started premium, we would bring in guys that competed, and then we hired Eric. And so it just started being around me, and I just got more intrigued. And it was like, man, I think I can do that, man. And so, I was able to debut in Wilmington and did another show in Fayetteville. And, we'll see what the future holds. Nothing this year. Whenever this dropped, nothing this year. Just because I had major surgery at the beginning of the year. But maybe see me again in 27. We'll see.
I love it. Yeah, you can enjoy a well-earned off season for a little bit, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think the thing that I love about fitness, and I see this with you as well, is something that I always keep in my mind is that it's bigger than me. Like this isn't about me. This is about who else's life can you change through fitness. It's a domino effect. When you don't know how many people you may have impacted. You know a few, but you don't know everyone that you've impacted just by you committing to your own fitness journey, by you losing all the weight. Somebody somewhere is looking at you saying, wow, he did it and I want to do it myself, So something for me that I always keep in the back of my mind is that it's bigger than me. It's not about me. I have to do this because there might be people that are needing the inspiration. They're needing the motivation. They need, to keep pushing. Diving into something else that ties into it, Dawain, I know you're big into your faith. You are a man of Christ. And then how do you tie that into fitness? Because, it can be a sore subject, but you talk about gluttony potentially being a sin, not potentially being a sin, being a sin.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how do we get that across to people that their body is a temple? There is an expectation as a Christian to take care of yourself and to take care of your body. How do you tie that into your fitness?
Yeah, man. So, the first thing is, everything that I do is unto Christ, man. Everything that I do is to give him glory at the end of the day. I don't take credit for anything. It's all for his glory. And so the way that you make the connection, the way that I try to make the connection, similar to the temple, your body's a temple aspect, is I bring up, the Timothy verse, man, where it says exercise is good. He said that. He didn't say it was bad. He's like, moving your body is good, but spiritual body, your soul is more important. And we all agree to that. And so the fact that he took the time, he didn't have to say that line. Paul didn't have to say that line. He was talking to Timothy. He was writing to Timothy, one of his preachers that was placed in a different. He did not have to say that. So there had to be some importance there for him to bring up that taking care of your body is a good thing. So in my mind, I imagine Timothy, look rocked up. You know what I'm saying? He pushing around some boulders. He pretty good shape, and he's like, just a reminder, bro, keep it up. But also take care of your soul, man. Take care of your spiritual life. And so whenever you see it clear in scriptures, when you see, the body's a temple, when you see, the people that run and do the Daniel fast, I don't suggest it, but people that run and do that kind of stuff, when you see Jesus walked everywhere, he was getting his steps in. When you see all those things in plain sight, man, it's easy to make that connection of godliness and physical fitness going hand in hand. But I do want to be clear about this. It isn't we don't have a works-based faith, which is hard for guys like us that work and earn everything, to understand that your works will not get you into heaven. So we don't have a works-based faith, but we still work for the glory of God. So that I kind of went all over the place, but at the end of the day, man, whatever you do is for his glory. And if you have issues or trouble with the plate and eating too much and being sluggish, Proverbs talk about the sluggard, talk about the lazy, it tells that these are bad traits. You want to find all the good traits. You want to be, you want to be steadfast. You want to be resistant. all of those things, man, it all connects in the Bible. And there's no disconnect when it comes to your physical fitness and your walk with Christ.
Yeah, I love that, Dawain.
Yeah, that's awesome. Transitioning a little bit into some of your personal coaching, you said that you work with some males online as well.
Yeah, man.
When you're getting into when you're onboarding a client, I'm assuming it's probably guys looking to lose weight and make transformations like similar to you did. What is your approach for starting up with people like that? What's your philosophies and what do you try to preach to those guys?
Yeah, so really the biggest thing that I notice in the fitness world is the extremes of everything. When we figured out protein was good, now protein is in everything. Protein in this, protein everybody.
Protein burritos, man.
Yeah, man, protein everywhere. And so what I try to bring, my philosophy is real life and the sustainability, because I can get you, I know enough to put you strict like you on peak week and you'll be miserable. I know enough to do that, but that you're not going to keep that up, man. And so we set real expectations and we figure out, we don't try to make you change your life. We try to help fitness fit inside your lifestyle, because a lot of guys my age, they're busy, they're traveling, they're working, whatever. And so my philosophy is, sustainability and how we can take what you already do, make a couple of tweaks, and start a healthy lifestyle. You won't see a dramatic change. If you want that, I can give that to you. But you will see that belt loop getting looser. You will see your clothes fitting better, and you will feel better about yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think there's been expectations have been so warped, right? Because people see the Hollywood transformations, right? And they see the actor that's ripped, and it's like, well, he's 50 and he's still ripped. Well, yeah, in Hollywood, there could potentially be some drug use going on. They're being paid millions of dollars to look a certain way for a role, which the majority of people would potentially do for that money or that role. But that isn't realistic for the average person that has a family, that has a full-time job. So I think it's getting back to setting realistic expectations of what health looks like when you're in your 40s, your 50s, or your 60s, right? It's not inherently about walking around with a six-pack all the time. It's the ability to find the balance, to be able to be healthy, but then also be able to enjoy your family, be able to have ice cream with your kids, be able to have pizza when it's the right time. Just because you're dieting, you're not in a bodybuilding prep, right? And I think human nature is to get super extreme and say, well, I saw this guy in a bodybuilding prep and he got ripped, so that's what I want to do. And the amount of people that we have to say, look, it's awful. It's awful. Getting that
man,
sucks. And for the average person, they're not going to do it. There's no way that you would get that lean unless you have a bodybuilding prep. But that isn't what health looks like, right? So, your healthy body fat range is going to be somewhere in the, 12 or 10 to 16%, depending on you genetically and how you feel at a certain level of leanness. But it's also, sometimes saying, I'm not going to train today because I'm exhausted, I'm sore, right? But people get that David Goggins mentality of, like, I've got to go, and they'll wrap themselves up, they'll take pre-workout. And it's like, you would have been so much better just taking the day off and coming back to it tomorrow when you're actually recovered. Because now all you're doing is borrowing energy from the following days, right? So what's your take on that? Like, how do you listen to the feedback that your body's giving you at this point in your life?
Yeah, man, that's huge, because I kind of touched on it before, man. That you have to get rid of that mentality, because I'm gonna go ahead and you're halfway to the age I am, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, you still gonna feel like you're a high school kid when you get 40. It doesn't change. You never in your mind think that you're old, And so for me, because I did this, actually, I did this at the beginning of the year. Like, I cut all of my gym sessions short. I will go to the gym for 15, 20 minutes, get a good pump and come out. And the recovery and just the way that my body was able to heal and rest was phenomenal, bro. Like, I went from an hour and a half session to 15, 20 minutes of just good pump work and getting out. And, most people were like, oh, you ain't doing anything. But whenever I got to a place where I was comfortable and my, I felt like I was actually, getting some rest and good recovery, whenever I came back to go hard, my strength was there. Like it was like I got a boost. It was like my body was like, bruh, thank you for giving me a break. So, and I think the older that you get, that the more important it is to take those breaks to, you guys are, see, but y'all, if y'all don't know, Nate and A and Will, they're real weightlifters. Those boys go real hard. I done seen it myself. So they have to do deload weeks. That's what the professionals call it. They do deload weeks and they document it. But for us regular people on this side of the screen, you just take a couple of days off, or not stay in as long. But like you said, man, it's so important to remember that when it comes to your journey, man, just to take that time and just give you a chance to just give your body a chance to recover.
Yeah, something I wanted to touch on that you mentioned earlier with your coaching philosophies is the sustainability side of things. And I think for myself, and that's one area I think as a coach, and Will could probably test this, and you as well. Like when you have a bodybuilding background, I think your philosophy with everybody is that why can't they just be locked in and be all but that's
Right.
not realistic at all. And it's
It's
like
not.
when you first get into coaching lifestyle people and you have a background in that area where you're so used to being like ultra rigid and locked in and maybe just don't have the same life responsibilities your lifestyle clients do, your expectations that they can replicate what you did and bring around their meal prep and their food scale everywhere they go to their kids' soccer games and stuff like that. That's not practical. So learning how to coach people to create a more sustainable lifestyle is like, it's such a big thing that I think a lot of younger trainers and coaches probably struggle with early on, because when you typically most people get into like the fitness industry in their early 20s, I would say, like as coaches and stuff like that. And that's generally a place where you don't have as many responsibilities. So I think to have the mindset to coach people on like more sustainability and balance is a big challenge early on. I think for myself in my early 20s to now just being 30, that's an area I've seen growth in myself, and I bet you guys could probably attest to that as well. Pretty common.
No, 100%, bro, 100%. And no shade on the younger trainers, man, but you don't know what you don't know. And and just some things just come with time and experience. And it just, I've seen it abused. I've seen people get turned off by it. I've seen it on so many different levels. And I really, for that young trainer that's listening to this great podcast, man, I would challenge you to take a beat, man, take a step back and think about your client. Think about what, like you said, what responsibilities they have that you don't have yet. Think about what got them to the point of needing a trainer. All of that stuff matters, man, when it comes to figuring out how you want to train someone. And it's like I said, it's kind of unfortunate, and it's not the kid's fault. I mean, I ain't gonna say kid, but it's not the young trainer's fault that they don't have the perspective yet. My wife actually recently talked to a nutritionist, and the young lady was maybe about 20 something, and my wife was trying to talk to her about the perimenopause, menopause, frame, and there was a disconnect. Obviously, you can educate yourself, of course, but there's a disconnect when you don't have that life experience, and it's just super important to understand where you are, and like you mentioned, Nate, like expecting them to lock in, we can think it all we want, but it's not going to happen. You're better off finding a softer approach than being frustrated and disappointed and ruining someone's experience and potentially losing a client, as opposed to trying to get somebody to be stage ready and they have no intention to do something like that.
Yeah, and it's like you said, you don't know what you don't know, and until you have kids and things like that, it's really hard to know how to coach somebody
Big facts.
in positions. I can remember clients coming in and being like, I didn't sleep good last night with the kids, and I have all this, and diet was terrible, and I would just be like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But once you have kids and stuff like that, and you're in the trenches with some of the situations, you become so much more relatable because you can understand where they're at. So I think as a it adds a layer to your skill set just naturally with the life experience. We were talking about just um, his philosophy of like sustainability and just talking about how like a lot of that intertwines with just life experience.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Sorry about that. I had to pop out. We had an issue in the gym. The problem with being a gym owner too, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that too, is like also don't inherently follow what I do, because if I'm a bodybuilder, I might have those days where I still have to train. But if you're just, the regular gym goer that wants to lose some weight, that doesn't have aspirations to be on the bodybuilding stage, you have much more leeway to, take the days off, or to really, listen to your body in a different way. So we talk about this all the time on the podcast, but the more extreme the goal, the more extreme the methods in order to get there, right? So if you don't have a super extreme goal, then don't follow someone whose goals are super extreme and then believe you have to train the same way that they do, right?
No, 100%, bro. 100%. Like, we see it a lot. I mean, even with our clients with Premium and E2M, it was like, I literally just got this message before we got on. How do I get arms like Mandy and Nanette? It's like, okay, I could tell you, but are you willing to do it? Are you willing to dial in? Are you willing to do this? A lot of times we have those big, like you said, extreme goals. In order to reach them, man, you have to have extreme commitment, and that's where it's a balance, man. Because I could have just shot it down. I could have been like, man, lady, whatever, it's not gonna happen. But I was like, hey, they do this, they do this. If you're willing, if that's what you want, you can definitely achieve it. I'll never tell you can't, but just understand there's a certain level of dedication that it takes to reach that kind of thing. So, that's just, I try to be nice.
Yeah. And I think setting those realistic expectations up front with your clients, it creates a better experience for them, and from a sustainability standpoint and client retention standpoint, and you're better off just being upfront with people about being realistic about what it takes to get to certain goals. Like if they want to get the single digit body fat, just tell them what it's going to look like. If they want to lose a certain amount of weight at a time, don't sugarcoat what it's going to take to get there.
Right. 100%, bro.
Something else that I like to highlight too is that really the physique is secondary to all the other benefits that you get. And then the physique actually becomes a byproduct of just doing the work for the other benefits, right? So with E2M, we're always talking about the benefits of strength training being, increased or at least maintained bone density, strengthening the tendons, keeping your joints healthy, building muscle so that your metabolism is higher, all the other benefits that come with it. And if you focus on those things, 6 months from now, all of a sudden your physique looks a whole lot better when you weren't actually even just focused on the physique in the first place.
100%, man. 100%. I like how you said it's the byproduct, man, because, it's no longer the main focus, because even for me, the biggest thing that, especially in my weight loss journey was, I wanted to feel better. Like I wasn't looking at the numbers. I barely weighed myself the whole process. I just wanted to feel better. I wanted to, like I said, tie my shoe without holding my breath. And I wanted to do all those little things, run behind my kids without getting tired. And, same with E2M Premium, man. If you do these workouts, and you're going to get stronger. Clients talk about it all the time, how, they just feel better about themselves. They can move around better. They can lift things better, and just like, oh, surprise, now you even look better, So I like how you put the byproduct, and then it's just one of those things. It's like the benefit, man, that you wasn't even expecting, after you put in the work, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Self-esteem, confidence, belief, all of those things that can be carried over into so many areas of your life. And we have so many clients that say, oh, I could never step on stage. I'll never do that. And because they're viewing it from the lens of where they currently are. And then once they get into it and they spend a year training, and then they see themselves lean out, and then they see someone else competes, and then all of a sudden they're like, actually, that's what I want to do. right? So it's like, just because you can't do it now doesn't mean that one day, if you do the work, you won't be in a position to do it.
Facts.
If that's something that you want to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of athletes in the gym here at No Limits that just started as lifestyle clients and eventually transition into competing as a byproduct of living a really healthy lifestyle. They're not like two different things necessarily, right? It's like just establishing a healthy lifestyle, and you don't know where it's going to lead you and what opportunities are.
Yeah, no, and that was, like I said, it was the thing for me. It was like, oh, like this could be another level. You know, it's always, for me, it's always like I'm always trying to progress, always trying to get better. So, you know, I lost the weight, started getting muscle, another level. Can you be disciplined enough to step on the stage? And so that's where we are, man. And we're holding right here till I cross over and get that pro card. That's the next level. So
It's coming, bro. It's coming. You put the work in. You put the work in.
Yes, sir.
Well, Dawain, you've been awesome, man. It's been great to have you on. Leave us with one last piece of advice for the audience that you would give.
Man, listen. So first of all, thank you guys for having me on. You know, let me start there, because you guys have been doing your thing. What the audience might not know is this is one of my offsprings. Like, I help you guys. If I help you guys start a podcast,
this is even a thing because of Dawain.
Yeah, man.
We need Dawain. Dawain, what do we do?
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm super proud to see it take off, man. And I know it's going to keep going. But you know, my word of advice, and I mentioned it before, man, is step out, man. Stop talking. Stop sitting on the sideline. Stop daydreaming. You know, the guy in the corner, man. The guy that sit on the corner. Listen, he been to space. He's an NBA player. He been to the league. He done everything in the world, but he sat right there in that corner, and all he do is talk about it. He hadn't moved. Don't be that guy on the corner, man. Step out and do. If you're brave enough to dream it, be brave enough to chase it.
Ooh,
I appreciate y'all.
Ooh, I'm fired up, man.
You're an inspiration, man. We really appreciate you jumping on here and all the help that you provided us getting our podcast off the ground. Everyone's really, I'm sure, been learning a lot from you and your journey today, and you've been an inspiration, I know, to us. So thank you again for taking some time to tell us about your story and spread the word about your journey, man.
Appreciate y'all, man.
We'll see you soon, brother.
We'll give you a call next time we need more tech support.
We got to get those mics right, but we'll say that offline.
Next step.